Hello and welcome to the OPSE regular season. Today we are watching Waterloo Warriors versus Trent Excalibur. I'm Horf and I'm here with my lovely co-caster Flarfles. So how are we feeling about jumping into today's games, Flarfles?
Well, I feel like I say it every week at this point, but I always am a fan of some Warriors action. They're going to be hopping onto the Rift, still undefeated in their best of three series in the OPSC, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So they are up against the Trent Excalibur squad, looking to be some formidable foes here, but we will be jumping right into the champ select shortly. And yeah, I'm just always excited to get to watch some banger games from Inexhaustive, Dark X, Use Physics. We got everyone else on the team, and of course, we're looking at Trent Excalibur's roster. What are we looking at for some of these players here?
Well, I guess we can start off with the complete roster for Trent Excalibur. From the list that we've been given, we have Freud in the top lane, Eichel in the jungle, Naro Demonte in the mid lane, Demo and Chamomile Tea as their ADC and support. I'm looking at these players here, and I'm seeing a lot of hard carry champs from all roles. So even in the top lane, Freud generally plays much more carry champions compared to tanks, which definitely matches Inexhaustive's playstyle as well. So on the side of Waterloo Warriors, Inexhaustive also tends to play way more carry champions than tanks. I think last game or last week we had them hover Ornn in Champ Select, and we already know that Inexhaustive not happy about Ornn if it does get locked in. So
Yeah,
as
so
we're
we
heading in here, um, we got a Cassiopeia ban from one of the Warriors, B1. So, what do you think about that ban there, Farfels?
A Cassiopeia pan, a Caspid just sort of screams to me like it's a pocket pick from Nero there. I feel like Cass doesn't really have enough place in the meta to warrant a B1 ban off the bat. So yeah, I think that's definitely a lot of respect being shown over to Nero, especially now that we see the Victor ban coming across as well, and Callum Coy also getting a bit of respect with the Zaya and Caitlyn bans. It's a
Mhm.
mid and bot battle here. But just before we get into some of these picks here, I like that you mentioned that a lot of the champions, a lot of the players on the side of Trent Esports are uh they have like a lot of hard carry potential, and that is sort of like what we see with the Waterloo style. They often opt more for a lot of flashy plays, a lot of individual skill lane gapping styles where you're just going to get outplayed during the laning phase, and that's a done deal at that point. So of course the ban on the Rumble coming over for use physics or towards use physics, we have yet to see him in game, but we know he is such a menace on the champ, and the Twisted Fate locked in for Inexhaustive.
Okay, Freud and Eichel picking up Tom Kench probably for themselves. Dark X also picking up the Viego for themselves. Um, is this wait, sorry, production, can we confirm that that these picks are actually in order as in we're doing in client champ select right now? Okay, they are not in order. That the teams are just happen to be picking what looks like potentially could be an order. So if they I'm assuming that the Twisted Fate is probably going onto use physics on the side of Water of
Mhm.
the Warriors, and that Lux is probably going to be locked in as a support for Psy. So we actually haven't seen Lux that much in many of the OPSE games. So what are your thoughts on having that Lux support locked in?
Well, I feel like the thing with Lux is she definitely fits the stereotype of the enchanter support where it's really just a support item and then you build full AP. And I feel like you don't see a lot of Lux play in these OPSC games
Oh,
because wait,
wait.
oh,
Oh my
okay,
gosh,
so it
it's the
is unused
Callum
physics.
Coy. It's the Callum Coy Lux pocket pick.
I see.
It's
Wait.
the Callum Coy Lux pocket pick. I have seen Callum Coy whip out this Lux before, and he is definitely super comfortable on it. So I'm excited to see how this goes, especially against the Samira Thresh. So this is definitely going to be an interesting laning phase, I think, for on the bot side of the map. What are you thinking about the team comp so far, Purples?
Well, it is looking more to be a top side focused map for the Warriors. Unless Calicoy and Side Desu do some funny business against Samira and Thresh, it feels like they might want to pull back a bit, maybe wait for a pick to come to them rather than make a lot of proactive plays. We see Heal on the Koi not looking to be proactive with the exhaust or prevent a lot of ganks, but just definitely careful play with the Lux and Rakan. But if you look over towards the top side, Viego and the Aatrox and a Twisted Fate, there's so much potential for a lot of ganks to come in here. Two teleports on each side. And we've seen an exhaustive Aatrox before, and it is a beast that you have to know how to handle.
It really is. An exhaustive has popped off on this Aatrox once before, so he can definitely do it again if he's given the right amount of resources, or if he's just able to play this lane into the Tom Kench that well. I find it funny that Trent actually kept banning ADCs in their they banned quite a few ADCs here, but Callum Kwai was like, "Nope, I don't care if you ban my ADCs because I'm gonna play a mage." Meanwhile, on the side of Trent, how are you feeling about these 2v2 skirmishes? For example, between the Tom Kenshin J4 or the J4 with the Silas, compared to the Aatrox Viego or the Viego TF combo.
Well, I feel like the big difference is going to be on the top side. You have two fighter, bruisery type of guys with Aatrox and Viego, and then you have a tank with a lot of CC potential paired with the Jarvan. So if Trent is able to lock down a certain pick in a given 2v2 skirmish, they should be able to just burst them down, assuming an exhaustive doesn't have a lot of healing or Dark X can't get his resets. It's such a coin flip when it's going to come down to these individual situations. But I want to give the edge maybe over to Trent a bit here, assuming that they are able to land those CC combos, are able to lock down one target and leave the other pair in the 2v2 essentially out to dry. If we look over towards the mid lane, however, I feel like maybe it might be a bit more sided for the Warriors with that gold card lockdown, with Viego being able to get right into place with the stunned up targets. I think Waterloo Warriors might just have the raw damage output. Of course, as I say it, I look, it's a Silas. You never know what he is going to be able to heal, what he's going to be able to do. But I feel like that Waterloo, they might want to bide their time, wait for the right opportunity. And of course, Trent is going to be doing the same thing. So I feel it's going to come down to these details of what are the setups, who gets the first move, who is roaming to the crab first, and those types of things are going to be what sway the fight.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking at this Silas that you mentioned that he does have quite the damage potential, especially because he has a couple of good ults to steal. Maybe not the Viego. Maybe you can back off from the Viego ult, but he does have that Aatrox ult that does increase his healing if he does manage to grab that for himself. So we have the Aatrox ult, we have the TF ult that he can use to actually match any TF roams. Rakan ult is also such a great engage tool, especially paired with that Thresh, paired with the Jarvan 4. So I'm really excited to see how Nero can actually manage to use Silas to his full potential with all these potential ults that you can steal here.
Yeah, and with that, I think our countdown reads 0. So hopefully, we will be hopping into game right about now. So don't go anywhere. Okay, never mind. I'm hearing from production that our timer is trolling me a little bit, but it does give us the opportunity to talk about their team comps as a whole. Hopefully, I will get a ping when we do move into the game. But if we take a look at Trent, they have Tom Kench, Jarvan, a Silas paired with the Samira and the Thresh. So it's sort of a very, very standard team composition and have a tank, have a fighter, bruiser type of guy with the Jarvan, have a mage, have a nice crit ADC, and some peeling support. And this is a
Your voice
very
actually
effective
might seem to
style.
have cut out a little bit.
Oh, is my audio cutting out?
Oh,
Oh.
okay, there we go. You're back. I'm not sure what happened there.
Oh no. Essentially, I would say Trent University style is very standard, but it's also very effective in just protect
Mhm.
Samira, let Silas go in, get those chains down, and essentially you can just win a 5v5 if you get the first move.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you there. I think Trent definitely has much of a more standard team comp that they can really go ham whenever they want to, especially with a ton of engage. So we're actually gonna head into game one now. Um, and we are going to be able to witness what both Water Warriors and Trent Excalibur can pull out in this game one of a best of three series. Okay, heading into our game one here. Looks like there's actually like a little pause. That's why we couldn't get in there instantly. But we are heading into the game one. How are you feeling so far as we are witnessing these amazing cinematics coming out from our team here?
Yeah, again, always gotta appreciate our production crew, especially with these little graphics, the little video. They're always so nice, and I just love to see how far we've come
30
compared
seconds
to,
until minions spawn.
quite frankly, some streaming that was a little bit more scuffed in the beginning. So we do
It's
see
okay.
a, of course, no
Always
flame.
improving.
Gotta start somewhere. So we do see a bit of a more standard 5 point style start with use physics or Kalankoy sort of up near the mid lane, might be wanting to catch out Narrow if he steps up a bit too far. Obviously, with the Lux Q or the E, you
Minions
do
have
have a lot
spawned.
of potential in the level 1 to get some snipes, but it's just going to be walking back away. I feel both sides know that it's going to come down. They want to bide their time until these Rift Scuttle fights, these 2v2 skirmishes that are going to sway the tide of the game inevitably here. So, yeah, we're just seeing pretty standard starts.
We're seeing some actually quite interesting runes coming out from Mr. Eichel on the J4. We got the Lethal Tempo J4. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we have seen that Lethal Tempo has become quite a fan favorite since the new update regarding the preseason. So, yeah, on the J4 though, I find it's interesting, and I think I'm trying to have I'm trying to determine what that would be entirely used for, because I don't think you're proccing it off the camps. It's only during ganks.
Yeah,
So
only turning against champions. So
yeah,
J4 really got to be in there in order to get those autos off in order to proc that lethal tempo. But if he does, he's going to be autoing from quite a bit away.
yeah, it does help with the fact that Waterloo does have quite a slippery team here. Aside from maybe use physics, a lot of dashes, a lot of peeling potential from Waterloo. So maybe just trying to get locking down, trying to lock down and fully chase and complete these ganks when the Jarvan inevitably does meet another opponent in the lane here. Do see a Herc from Chamomile, but it does just reach the minion.
Down forced to walk away after hitting the minion. Looks like a failed little attempt to get that first hook onto Sky. Does not go well, but you know, it's only 3 minutes into the game. Sai and Callum Coy definitely going to be playing more of a passive lane here compared to Samira Thresh that are looking for those aggressive engages. Because, you know, if they do get on to Callum Coy does not have that much mobility other than that flash. So, still a bit of a gank actually in the top side here. But
Yeah.
gonna walk away essentially.
A lot of pressure from Aiko. Does probably want to just check that there's no ward, and it's, as we mentioned, wants to get that. It wants to ensure that there's no possibility of a gank onto Freud, and making sure that they would have the first move enabled to get down to that Rift Scuttle. That being said, he is just going to go back to his Krugs, so Dark X is going to pick that up pretty handily.
And Calmboy playing the lane as they would like to. Diego, Dargat also in the top lane. Could potentially look for a dive onto Freud. Jarvan actually does not spot out Diego from the looks of things.
Yeah, interestingly, Eichel did clear out the tower, but it is going to be the gank coming down from Dark X. Here comes the teleport action.
Teleport here, Narrows. coming in potentially trying to grab a kill for himself.
Dark X Inexhaustive might have to run for the hills. Freud is turning all of his attention onto Dark X, and here comes the knockup. Inexhaustive picks up the first blood. That is a nice reset for Dark X to be able to get, but he doesn't even need it necessarily. Nero Demonte, now it's looking till you.
Oh, Dark X still low.
Oh, Dark X a little too.
Does not manage to proc that shield. The Tomcat shield would have saved him. 1 HP left on that. You starts walking away.
Here's the cover from Eichel, and this attack speed. That's without lethal tempo even procced. Here comes the stun. He's gonna even it out. Oh my gosh, the spear.
Uses like auto to death by a J4. Not having a great time there, but he does manage to escape with his life.
Yeah, and that could honestly be a bit. Oh, we have a replay? Oh my gosh, this is the first time. Okay, so we did see that Dark X and Inexhausted, they wanted to turn tail right after this teleport came through. They know that essentially they're able to get out immediately, but they do actually get caught here by Nero, and then they focus all of their attention onto Freud. Inexhausted picks up the kill, and the Shroud is down. Dark X, he could have gotten out of there scot-free, and Nero would have died to Inexhaustive anyways. The chain came down. Here comes the knockup, but it does go a little wide.
A lot of damage from the Silas. I don't know if he was expecting that much damage, and he was a little locked up from the Silas as well.
And these nice cinematics. Oh. So we do have our roster, of course, heading back to the game. We know our players, we know our boys.
Commercial break.
Yeah, the replay is not for free. You do have to see the names of our lovely cast here on the Rift. And yeah, I think what Eichel might have been going for with that lethal tempo circling back is honestly the surprise factor, maybe. We use physics. I don't think he was anticipating that much damage.
For J4 to start on the way, because when you think of J4, you definitely think of him more as like an agility-based champion, if anything.
Yeah, once he unloads his combo, he's not.
Here, top 1v2 lane, actually.
Yeah, we do see Sai Desu. We know in the past that once he feels that Callum Coy is secure in lane, he is booking a flight out of there. He will just go for the roams. It does look like he's going back down to that bot side now, but he is always a fan of continuing to push advantages in other lanes, and Dark X is doing the same here.
Well, they have revenge on the Freud here.
Ultimate pop down, and it's as simple as that. Freud is slain, and Dark X uses the catfish just to get out of there.
Eichel hiding in this bush, not sure what he's trying to accomplish. So I don't think he's going to be able to kill Inexhaustive on this Aatrox 201. Tons of damage. Unless Freud teleports back in, so Inexhaustive has to run for the hills here now. Oh, and the Silas
ultimate from Nero. Inexhaustive, he might be stuck in an alcove in a hard place. Does get the flash away, but he is stuck in the Cataclysm. It's only a matter of time before Inexhaustive. He's actually walking away, but shut down by Freud.
Very close to getting away. If he saved his E, he flashed E away, but then J4 just hopped right on him with the Cataclysm. If Inexhaustive had managed to save his E, he might have been able to get out of there potentially.
Yeah, in those types of moments, it's hectic. You see 3 people and you're sort of reading your last rites.
Get me out of here.
Yeah, put me back into the game.
From there. Inexhaustive teleports back with a vengeance.
And it's sort of like we said, we've seen all of this play towards the top side. Roam's coming in, teleports from Nero, but Estes, I cast their curse it a bit. Here comes a dive from Waterloo down onto the bot side. Here comes the Lux ultimate. That ray of light is just too bright for Trent. It's double kill.
1v1 and Freud up in the top lane. The Tom Kench a little bit. Oh my gosh, never mind.
You can't doubt Inexhaustive. Here comes the hook, and here comes the slay. Oh my gosh.
Dark X on the Thresh. He's a beast on no matter what champion he plays.
That is one of the benefits of Viego. You get to show your skills in all facets here. Inexhaustive, once again, maybe a bit caught up, but does pop the ult. Here comes the chains down. It actually rips Eichel back, and it's now looking not too good for Eichel. He's gonna be killed here.
He barely manages to scratch Inexhaustive. Inexhaustive was not high HP at all. So, you know, the Aatrox with the ult and with all the Qs and the healings, he is just able to 1v1 that 2 level down J4. Or now 3 levels down, actually.
Yeah, J4 Eichel has been having a bit of a rough time. The ganks have not necessarily been going the way he wants entirely, with a few missed early opportunities, and of course that is not the type of gank you want to see. And I feel like I haven't seen Eichel in his bot side jungle at all this game, aside from the first blue buff towards Gromp clear. He has just been playing towards Freud and trying to help that top side really further its advantage.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell because of the amount of vision control that blue side has in the bot side jungle. You see all the control wards, and if the jungler was, you know, clearing his bot side jungle, he'd be able to spot out these wards, and you maybe wouldn't have as many control wards there. But since Waterloo knows that Eichel essentially isn't coming to his bot side jungle, they can freely use control wards there.
Exhaustive is not one to turn down a fight, even if the other one wants to just run away. Does go for that slice there, and here comes the side Desu flash. He's gonna get the charm, and that Samir is gonna be one and done. Dino, you're not looking a little worse for wear. I speak too soon, but here comes the ray of light to shut him down. The death box. The box is
literally
coming down.
the box.
I was missing up the hook. Here comes a triple charm actually from Nero. He might be able to get a solid pick here. And the Cataclysm coming down from Eichel is going to secure this team fight return. Saidesu is forced to run for the hills in the alcove, but there is no salvation there for you, buddy. Nice response from Trent.
Callum Coy actually manages to escape with his life, so overall it did turn out pretty decently for Waterloo, as they did not give that Lux shutdown over to Trent, and the two people that did die in that fight did not have shutdown.
Waterloo never wants to have a calm moment in the lane here. It does go on to Freud, and that is another kill on the catfish there. Callum Coy having some time poking him away. Dark X actually wants to keep going in here, but that is a Silas. Okay.
Looks like Viego does have that Rift Herald available for him to use. He's gonna probably drop it in the top lane now that Freud and Nero both cannot really contest this Rift. J4 finally has made his way down to the bot side jungle of his. Gonna spot out a couple of Waterloo's gonna spot him out there on their control wards.
Inexhaustive has definitely been the player that Waterloo is looking towards to carry this game. 5-1 on the Aatrox. Did just get a Rift Herald pop, so he is sitting comfortably in the top lane as we see another run from Saidesu. Inexhaustive, again, acting more as a supportive role. Of course, does have the Lost Chapter. Nothing too fancy. A bit of a CS advantage over Nero Demonte, but of course, that's what you'd expect as the twist of fate going into the Silas here. It's sort of calm on all lanes aside from the top lane. We have seen some bot lane action, but it's only through the proactivity.
Looking in for a little bit of a lane gank here, but I'm not sure if Callum Coy and Sai suspect this.
Oh, well, they're not walking past a certain line. As I say it, Saidesu does.
And there we go.
Okay.
Confused through the bush, does manage to sniff out Eichel.
Oh, wait.
Awesome damage coming out onto Demo from Callum Coy. If he did have that final spark up, I believe it would have killed.
Yeah, I think. Boy, you can never be too wary against the Lux. That's the thing. It's sort of a devious champion. You never think it's going to do that much damage until boom, dead.
It does have that, I'm not sure what item that is, as it just is a black square, but she does have some mythic. I'm assuming it's a Ludens, but she does have some damage mythic available to her, so definitely gonna pack a punch here.
Oh, here comes
lots of damage onto the Thresh.
Yeah, Chamomile is gonna be backing up a bit here. He wants none of what's happening towards that bot side. It's gonna be a nice push from Callum Coy. Pretty free getting these plates in. And overall, Waterloo's feeling pretty good about this. As I say, Use Physics looking to be a bit of a trouble. Here comes a double knockup from Saidesu though, and Trent is running for the hills. Great response from the Warriors getting that double knockup from Saidesu. Able to completely counter what Trent was throwing out at Use Physics here.
I think that J4 ult synergizes it really well with the enemy Rakan's W. Oh, punch here.
Inexhaustive really wants the tower, actually flashes right into the Abyssal Voyage, and this might be a little too much even for you, Inexhaustive. I'm sorry, buddy.
Ooh,
Shut
Trent
down
does
over the
nab the
chamomile.
shutdown though. You would prefer to have that shutdown either onto the Tom Kent or J4. Probably the J4 would be more ideal, as he does seem to be going more of a bruiser-ish build rather than full tank compared to the Tom Kent and Thresh. So I think a little bit unlucky for Trent that Thresh does manage to grab that last hit, but it's alright. A shutdown is a shutdown. Inexhaustive no longer being a menace in the top lane. But Dark X is here in the bot lane to counteract that J4 gank in the top side.
Emo does get the dash, but the Trent's looking a little worse for wear after that one. And if you're Trent, you do get the shutdown onto, or from Inexhaustive, but it's going onto the Thresh, and ultimately you lose 2 towers and a dragon for it. So I don't believe that all of that effort was worth it. And if you're Trent, how do you stem the bleeding? How do you come back and find these picks?
I don't even know. This is definitely a hard game for Trent. This is going to be, not sure what Dragon Soul, Infernal Soul from the looks of things. So Infernal Soul on a Lux, on Aatrox, on a Viego. This is super difficult for Trent if Waterloo does manage to grab that Infernal Soul. So they're definitely gonna need to be contesting these objectives more as a team and like working together to shut down Inexhaustive as they have done in the past with like 3-4 people in the top lane.
Yeah, it is definitely difficult for Trent, and Waterloo does not seem to want to stop their advances, pushing down onto this tier 1 here, but they might have actually found what they needed.
A little bit.
Sai does get the triple charm here. He might have been caught out. You're locked in here with him. Nero is going to be healing up, but he is falling down to Dark X, and now Inexhaustive is completely in the fray. The Zonyas is only a matter of time before Inexhaustive is going to find you. Dark X with the final spark is going to be aided by Callum Coy, but he's going to actually fall to Devo here. Maybe a little too ambitious, but Waterloo picks up 3.
Lots of damage onto Demo from Inexhaustive.
Pick up 4.
We're not going to be able to kill him though. Looks of things. Able to run away. Never mind. Lux E does quite a bit of damage.
You can never underestimate the Lux here. Callum Coy is on a different level right now. 6-0-3 on the champion, and Waterloo is sitting comfortably. It is their game to lose now.
Oh, a little bit of an ult in order to grab the Raptors from his teammate. Oh, you see, Callum Coy, your teammate's not very happy there. A little bit of a slower patch now. 11k gold up for the side of Waterloo. Dragon is up in about 2 minutes, and Baron hasn't even spawned yet. I was about to look towards Baron, but there is no Baron. It's just Rift Herald. But Dark X does seem to be looking towards it.
Yeah, Waterloo has been making this game feel like it's gone on much longer than it has, and I like what they're doing here. They've just put a lot of focus onto Inexhaustive, and then when you don't feel like you can play Inexhaustive, Callum Coy also 6-0-3 on the day, and Dark X is going to be looking for some more picks here. Here comes the stolen ultimate from Arrow, but just to get away.
Okay, just got word that that mythic that Lux has is actually Crown of Shattered Queen, even though we can't even see the effect on Lux herself when you look at her, which is thank you Riot for that. Side caught out by Chamomile and Narrow, but he's able to run away with the use of his W and E.
Do you ever really catch Animacon? I feel like it's pretty hard because he has his charm, he's got his dashes.
Difficult.
Like, you get, like, what looks like a pick, but then all of a sudden he's charming up your whole team, and now you're the one in defeat.
Like, Waterloo is going to be able to claim this Rift Herald for themselves. Last Rift Herald here. Dark X and Side is grabbing this. We actually see objective bounties for red side, but we can't really see how much they are because spectator mode has not been updated yet. So, someday Riot will decide that they will bring back the objective counters at the top, along with the bounties at the top, so the sooner the better, Riot. We are all waiting on you.
And while we wait for some new features to be implemented in our preseason here, it looks like Trent has turned their sights over towards this dragon. So as you mentioned, they want to stop Waterloo from getting to Soul Point essentially at all costs. They know the direness of the situation, and Eichel might have a good opportunity to go for a flank, but Inexhausted wants to
Inexhausted
turn
is
off
just
the fight here.
letting Freud over here.
Is able to pick it up, and Waterloo is looking to advance their fight. The eat from Tom Kench is not going to be enough. Use Physics picks it up, and Callum Coy is looking to turn on the Camille T. Here comes the Samira wind wall, but it is not going to be enough to save Camille. The death sentence actually goes all the way around, and the Lantern is able to make it over to Eichel. It's a triple kill for Dark X. He is looking for more. This could be turned into a Baron. It hasn't even come up yet, but Waterloo is trying to continue here. It's an ace from Waterloo after a nice skirmish. It's a messy fight, but they turn it up.
20-6 for the side of Waterloo. I don't know if Trent's gonna be able to come back from this one. This is I don't know. Jack, what do you think they can do about this here?
Yeah, Trent. It's definitely tough. I feel like there's not really an opening. You can try and pick out Sai, but he is just so slippery. Callum Coy might be your only viable option for a shutdown. Is 607 with the 1,000 gold total bounty. If you can get a hook onto him, give it to the right carry, that might be your opening back into the game. But it's just so tough when you're seeing a Rift Herald in your base before the Baron even spawns.
Well, looks like Waterloo are going to be quite an unstoppable force here, but Nero and Freud are both coming in on the same ward for a potential flank onto Waterloo.
Eichel, but Inexhausted wants to take down the 3 off his own.
Under tower, Sai's able to shield him up here, though.
The Trent forces are sort of scattered. It's a who's in here with me situation, and Nero is taken down along with Freud, but Waterloo is pushing on all fronts. Dark X on the Catfish now. It does go for the Abyssal Voyage, and Eichel is dashing away to save his own life, but Waterloo is pushing on all fronts, and they continue their march to end this game 1.
Dark X a little bit scary there, quite a low Viego, but you have seen what he can do. Oh my gosh.
Ooh!
Oh, Eichel barely walked into that Lux. He does manage to get hit by it, unfortunately for him. Looks like Waterloo will be attempting to end out this game, but Freud and Nera are both up now for the side of Trent.
Zemo forced to take away the Lantern. Trent, it's your time. This is your last stand, the final wave. Here comes the Abyssal Voyage. Does get a double knockup. Actually, the ultimate is stolen from Nero Demonte, but you are not going to be able to get anything. A double knockup from Inexhausted. He is charging. It's a double kill over to Dark X. A triple kill actually going to go for the Quadra. They're standing at the edge of the Nexus. They know they want it. Use Physics is going to go right here. Get that card down. All right.
Okay. Oh my gosh, quite the exciting game from both teams here. Oh my gosh. It definitely sucks for Trent that they weren't able to do much, especially against the Aatrox. It's 1v3ing 3 of Trent's carries under their own tower. So it's definitely a hard game for Trent. But what do you think they can learn from this game? From this first game?
Well, I think you can't. It's so tough because when you look at that game, it just feels, if you're on the side of Trent, it just feels like things were going okay until all of a sudden you could just not win the game anymore. It just felt doomed after a certain point. So you feel like you have to look at your early game, recognize that those tiny mistakes like letting Inexhaustive and Dark X win out on that 2v2 skirmish are where things are going to fall behind, because Inexhaustive, once he gets that lead, he is just going to keep pushing. And we saw that onto the Tom Kench. He did not stop. He was unrelenting towards those pushing that fight, and what that allowed was Waterloo could focus their resources onto other sides of the map. We saw so many dives towards that bot side. Waterloo was just able to use Inexhaustive not as their tool to push to end the game, but they're able to use it to let the other tools come to life. And I feel like that's what the difference was for Waterloo. So if you're Trent, you have a tricky task ahead of you, but yeah, how are we feeling?
Honestly, I am curious to see how Trent will change up their draft style a little bit potentially, because they were not expecting, that Lux bot lane, that Lux Recon bot lane. Such a safe bot lane, and Lux does quite a bit of damage later on into the game. So we could see a couple of different champions, perhaps maybe some longer range champions with that with engaged champs, for example, in order to counter that Lux, that Recon, you could go maybe a Caitlyn with a hard CC champ such as like Nautilus or Leona, and we could see a couple more combinations from the side of Trent. But I'm thinking that they're gonna ban away Aatrox for this game too.
A lot of respect gotta be shown over to Inexhaustive. And with that, I think we will be heading into our intermission before game two here. So, more Waterloo action sure to be coming right to you guys. So, don't miss a thing. Don't go anywhere here.
Hello and welcome back to OPSE regular season. Today we are going into game two between the Waterloo Warriors and Trent Esports. Looks like Trent has opted to go for red side as they have lost. They lost the first game, so they do have a selection of side.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, okay, we did get right into champ select, but no Aatrox, man. We will see if Waterloo wants to run that back. They do have B1 here, but they are opting instead to pick up the Viego. Interesting. Okay, so they don't feel like the Aatrox is necessarily the key to success. It's just
Shen
one thing that they could do.
Udyr.
Oh.
Shen Udyr from Trent, a completely different direction from what they had last game. Shen definitely more of a global supporting type of champion. If so, they are able to match a potential TF again if U6 does decide to lock in the TF.
Use
Um,
Physics Rumble! It
Oh
didn't
my
do
gosh,
good!
U6 Rumble! U6 Rumble! It did not get banned. U6 Rumble is allowed to go through. This is a champ that we have seen essentially banned every single time. We have watched a game. This is like one of the first games I think that Rumble has not been banned by the enemy team. So we're gonna see how Use Physics can, use this comfort pick to his and his team's advantage.
Yeah, and interestingly, with the side of Trent, they opt for a Lux, Zaya, and Vlad ban. I find that interesting because I feel like when you ban out so many of the top tier ADCs rather than play something that is not necessarily as strong, Kalimkor is just going to go for the Lux. But if you don't ban as many ADCs away, you can play something you're more used to playing. But Demo and the crew instead opt to ban away the Lux, and these team comps are locked in. I think that's
From
inexhaustive
Ziggs,
on Akali.
Leona. Yeah, it is an exhaustive on the Akali. Gonna be a little bit of a ninja battle up in the top lane, the Akali versus Shen. Callum Coy does decide to opt for that Ezreal into Ziggs Leona. So what do you think about this bot lane matchup here? It's a completely different dynamic than what we saw last game.
Yeah, so Ezreal Rakan is the typical reactive bot lane, just go for the poke. But I feel like Callum Coy and Side Desu, they actually have a lot of opportunity here to lock down either the Ziggs or the Leona, get those essence fluxes down, and actually chunk out a lot of the health bars from the side of Trent Esports. So this guys could be packing quite a punch from the side of Waterloo. And looking towards the Ziggs and the Leona, I think what they're trying to go for is with an essentially their basic combo is get the Zenith Blade down, and then with the satchel you can push someone back. But against someone as bot lane as mobile as Rakan Ezreal, I feel like this technique might not be as effective. So we're gonna see how this dynamic works out. Whether Trent opt for a reactive play back and just let topside try and win again style, or whether or not they're actually gonna try and go all in on this bot lane here.
I'm curious to see actually how Chamomile in general will play this game because Ziggs can definitely be put on more of a back foot farming position where you can just kind of leave him and he'll do his own thing in the bot lane. So, and with Leona being such an aggressive roaming support, especially to match potential roams from Sai Desu on that Rakan, I think Leona paired with a Lucian mid can definitely shut down Yusufix's Rumble if they do decide to go that route, where they decide to let Ziggs farm and do his own thing and focus more of their resources towards that mid lane.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned that the demo could just be play a bit of a supportive play in the lane. Don't let any of the minions crash into tower type of role. Let Chamomile actually match the robes of Sai Desu because we have seen that he is such a roamer once the bot lane from Waterloo is going in their favor. So we could see a lot of matching, of course. Leona not necessarily as mobile. He is going to have to try and catch up to Side Desu, but if they are able to catch them off guard or surprise them with that roam, they could actually get a lot of these picks as you're mentioning because Lucian Leona is more of a traditional bot lane that we see. So they could be looking for that bot lane play in the mid lane here.
Mhm.
And of course, the top side, the Shen and the Udyr. How do we think this is going to go?
I don't know. I think Waterloo's 2v2 skirmish is very high damage with Akali Viego versus Shen Udyr, but the Shen and Udyr do are very tanky, and they can dish out quite a bit of CC that Waterloo does lack in the top side with the Akali Viego. Really, you only have the Viego W to apply any CC. Um, I'm honestly curious. Do you think we could ever have a moment in this game where Akali does follow Shen with her Shuriken flip?
Oh my gosh, that would be hilarious.
That would be
Because
pretty funny.
it's only canceled if it's like CC, right? You can damage Shen all you want, and it won't cancel his stand united.
Yeah, so you can just follow him if you want on the Akali. So place your bets right now. Will we have a moment where Akali does follow Shen on his ults? Perhaps down to bot lane to protect that Ziggs, who's probably going to be alone because Leona's a bit busy roaming.
And exhaustive, if you're in the chat, then please make sure you go for the screen time. I like the idea of this.
Okay, we are gonna take a look at I think we are gonna have a little bit of an intro video as we head into our game two of this best of three series. In about not okay, sorry, production got a little angry. Yeah, not quite yet, not quite yet. So I guess we can just keep talking about these like well, we covered the top and mid skirmishes, so now or top and jungle skirmishes, so now we can cover the mid jungle skirmishes. So what are you thinking of that Viego Rumble combo versus Lucian Udyr?
Well, use physics. I feel like we haven't seen his Rumble in full action. We just know that supposedly it's this menace that is just waiting to be released. It's been banned every single stream that we've done, and now it is finally time for it to be let out. So, what can he and Dark X do? I think with a champion that is so mobile, just from the fact that he can run his little mech's feet, I feel like Inexhaustive is, or sorry, Use Physics is going to have a pretty good chance at being the first one to show up for fights. And I feel the urge to sneeze. So okay, I think we've held it. Okay, but when it comes to a 1v1 situation against Nero, this is tough. I feel it still in my nose. This is kind of griefing. So maybe we'll just have to get into game to see. We do have the game running right up, so don't go anywhere, guys. Okay.
Okay, heading into game two of this best of three series. Will Waterloo be able to grab this one and call it a 2-0, or will Trent come back with this game with a win for themselves?
Yeah, and we see all of our summoners heading out onto the rift. Once again, a pretty nice 5-point start. Don't think we're going to see any shenanigans. I love some shenanigans, but we rarely get to see them on the rift nowadays. So, KMLT as well as Dima just putting up some defensive positions. They want that blue buff to be completely protected. And this should mean, yeah, we do see. Oh,
Almost
close.
at that game. That first strike on the Ezreal definitely could be scary. It's basically new Klepto for Ezreal there.
Yeah, it is such a powerful rune, especially on these ADCs when they're the ones who are initiating the fight. It can be what changes the tide of your battle, what might be an expected winning or losing matchup. All of a sudden, you're doing a lot more damage. So if you can get that first move, the name First Strike sort of tells it all.
Definitely, especially on poke ADCs such as Ezreal, such as I don't know, longer range skill shot based champions. Like for example, I think first strike Ziggs could also potentially be pretty viable, but he does opt for that glacial augment instead. For basically, I think it's only his W that actually procs glacial, so it's a little bit of a toughie for him to be procking that. But you know, first strike could have been a viable option for him, but he does opt for that glacial instead.
I've seen a certain Callista top go First Strike, and it's become very effective. So I think it is quite a strong keystone to have. And once again, our camera pans over towards that top side. Inexhaustive, I can't remember the last time he's just said, sit back, team. I'm going to sit back. You guys can handle it. It always feels like he wants to be on the flashy picks. And hopefully, okay, I think audio's coming in for me here. I wasn't sure if that was an issue on my end. But we are just in a pretty nice standard laning phase right now. No shenanigans still.
Both ADCs have matching items there. Got the tier, got the pots and biscuits, and Exhaustive poking down Shen in the top lane. And Exhaustive, I've noticed, actually does try to opt for Grasp Akali in the top lane more than anything else.
Yeah, against someone like Shen who also has the grasp, it feels like unless you're getting all of your damage out and then immediately escaping, those trades are not over until Shen says so. So I like that he is trying to keep some sustain in lane when that is one of Freud's most powerful tools to try and pick up an advantage here.
Narrow Yusuf's just chilling up in the mid lane. Yusuf's not much he can do against a ranged matchup, so that's how it goes versus Lucian, as he's a little bit of a lane bully.
Yeah, and it is going to be tough. We did see immediately the wave was pushed in from Nero onto Use Physics there. And that's just sort of how it's going to go until Use Physics has more of his abilities, more of his tools really unlocked. And
Aiko looking for a potential gank in the bot lane, especially with this wave pushing up. Kalimkoi looking to get a ward down, does manage to blink out of there.
yeah, there was... That's the thing about this Waterloo bot side. They are so slippery. And here comes the Zenith Blade. As I mentioned it, the satchel is not going to come down. Just some bombs being tossed. And Kalimkoi does have the opportunity to throw out a few of his Qs, a few Ws maybe.
Oh, Aiko is back.
Oh, the Zenith Blade doesn't connect onto Sidesi though. So we will see most likely. I think this is the third time he's tried to recall here, and I think he will complete it now. A full clear from both of these junglers, and the gank attempt was quicker on the side of Eichel. He definitely is.
Darknight's coming in for a lane gank actually, but
Here comes the Zenith Blade. Waterloo is looking to turn their tails on here, but a double knockup from Sidesio might be what they need to turn the fight right now. A flash in from Dark X, and here comes down the stun. He has the reset available, but he is pushing onwards onto Demo. Run, little bummer, run! Here comes the flash, and here comes Dark X again, 101. A nice double pickup from Waterloo, starting this game off hot.
lots of flashes coming out from the side of Waterloo to secure those kills. Freud and Exhaustive still duking it out in the top lane. Not much Shen can do as he's just getting pushed in here. So yeah, we definitely see more of a focus towards bot side this game compared to last game. Diego and Udi are both paying attention to their bot lanes, but Eichel is coming up actually.
Here comes the Shroud, and here comes Shuriken Flip, but Exhaustive, you might not be long for this world. Freud does pick it up. Alright, solid counterplay, or solid counter map play from the side of Trent there.
Freud barely manages to live that little encounter with Akali there, but Eichel does manage to help Freud push his wave up, but Akali is managing to TP back and I get a little bit of revenge onto Eichel here.
Yeah. Alright, so one of the things is with replays is that you get to watch what happened over. So in Exhaustive, he's in a tough spot. The Freud and Eichel both know that they want to place down these wards, and after the Shuriken Flip doesn't land anywhere, it's just a matter of time. And solid pickup from Trent there.